Hey there, my name is Julian and welcome back to Mount Calvary Ministry. It's been quite a while since I've shared a video with all of you. So I want to talk about gratitude. And gratitude is something that is very easy to do when life is going great and things are peachy. Gratitude is a lot more difficult when you're going through a storm. And I myself have been going through a bit of a personal storm this last few months, and I thought this is a really good opportunity to speak from the heart. If there's anyone out there that is dealing with a personal crisis right now, going through a really tough time, I can speak to you from personal experience, because I'm right now speaking to you right now going through a really difficult time. A few weeks ago, the last month actually, I got news that my mother had passed away in South Africa. And I took that really hard. Certainly my wife was very close to my mom. Myself taking it very hard. I went to South Africa for the funeral, came back to Canada, and I was no sooner back when I got news from my place of work that my job was going to get eliminated. The company's going through a restructure and the department's getting impacted. So I was facing the loss of my mother and the loss of my job, which impacts me directly and my whole family. And that was like that going through a really tough time. It's a personal storm. And I was reminded when I was reading through the book of Matthew, chapter 14, verse 29. That's a story where the disciples are out in the boat and there's a huge storm taking place, and Jesus comes in the dark walking on water. And Peter gets out of the boat, keeps his eyes on Jesus in the storm, and walks on water. And as long as Peter kept his eyes on Jesus and he did not take notice of the storm, if he didn't look at the waves and the water, and he didn't listen to the wind and the thunder and looking at the lightning and all these things, as long as Peter kept his eyes on Jesus, he walked on water. But in the Bible it tells us that when Peter started to look around and looked at the circumstances, at the storm, Peter started to sink. And I realize in my life it's the same thing, that as long as I keep my eyes on Jesus, I can walk through a storm. But when I start to look at the circumstances, when I look to the left and the right and I look at the circumstances, you start to sink. And I just want to have a message to anyone out there right now. If you're going through a personal crisis, don't look at the circumstances. Same as Peter. Don't look at the waves. Don't look at the storm. Don't listen to the howling wind. Don't listen to the thunder. Keep your eyes on Jesus and you will walk on water. You'll walk through a storm. Don't focus on the circumstances. So myself here right now, speaking from personal circumstances, going through a storm, I realize that I still need to be grateful, because the list of blessings far outweigh the so-called problems in my life. And I know right now, if you're going through a storm, sit down and make a list of all of your blessings, all the things to be grateful for. And you'll find you make that list, it's a longer list than the problems. And whatever the problems are, don't focus on the problems, focus on Jesus. Don't look at the circumstances, look at Jesus. Keep on praying, pray through it, but pray through it with an attitude of gratitude. Sometimes life tests us, because it's easy to be grateful. It's easy to have an attitude of gratitude when life's great. It's easy to be feeling peachy when things are all great. It's not that easy to have this attitude of gratitude and gratefulness during a storm. It's during the storm that we get to test our attitude and we get to test our commitment. If you're going through a storm, don't look at the circumstances. Look at Jesus. And if you keep your eyes on Jesus, just like Peter did, you'll walk on water, and you'll walk right through the storm. God bless.